The wind howled across Lake Minnetonka, sharp and bitter, slicing through Ethan Caldwell's worn jacket as he trudged along the snow-dusted path. It was 6. Im, im, the sky still a bruised purple, and the Minnesota cold gnawed at his bones like a living thing. His boots crunched against the frost. Each step a small rebellion against the exhaustion tugging at his limbs. A single dad at 34, Ethan was used to fighting the clock, pinasum, the bills, the quiet ache in his chest that never quite left since Lily's mom passed. He'd been up since 4, near 1:40 Turfan, Daryl prepping breakfast for his 9-year-old daughter, Lily, before his first shift as a maintenance worker at the downtown office tower. The second job at the auto shop would come later, after the sun set and the world blurred into a haze of grease and overtime pay. It was all for her, for the little girl with hazel eyes who deserved more than a fridge with 2 eggs and a half-empty jar of peanut butter. That morning felt heavier than most. Maybe it was the way the fog clung to the lake, thick and ghostly, muffling the world into an eerie stillness. Ethan adjusted his scarf, his breath puffing out in white clouds, when a scream shattered the silence. It wasn't a playful shout or a kid's cry. It was raw, desperate, slicing through the mist like a knife. His head snapped toward the sound, eyes straining against the gray. There, out on the ice, a dark shape flailed, arms thrashing as the frozen surface cracked beneath them. Ethan's heart lurched, a jolt of adrenaline flooding his veins. He didn't have time to watch him. Dropping his thermos, he bolted toward the lake, his boots slipping on the snowy bank. The ice groaned under his weight as he ran. A low, menacing sound that sent a shiver down his spine, unrelated to the cold. He could see her now, a woman, her coat soaked, her hands clawing at the jagged edge where she'd fallen through. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with terror, and her lips moved in a silent plea as the water swallowed her inch by inch. "Hold on," Ethan shouted, his voice rough with urgency. He dropped to his knees, sliding the last few feet, the ice splintering beneath him. His fingers brushed hers, icy, trembling, and he gripped her wrist with everything he had. The cold bit into his skin. But he pulled, muscles straining, heart pounding so loud it drowned out the wind. The ice cracked again, a spider web of fractures spreading beneath him. And for a split second, he thought they'd both go under. Surinamanawan. But then her other hand found his, and with a grunt of effort, he hauled her up, her body collapsing against his as they scrambled back to solid ground. She was shaking, her breath coming in ragged gasps, her dark hair plastered to her face. Ethan's own chest heaved, his hands trembling from the cold and the adrenaline crash. "You okay?" he managed, his voice hoarse. She nodded. "Barely, Waima." Her eyes meeting his for a fleeting moment, grateful. Shottenerum, haunted, and something else he couldn't place. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. But Ethan didn't wait. He had to get home, get Lily to school, get to work, stay warm, he muttered, helping her to her feet before turning back to the path, his wet clothes clinging to him like a second skin. He didn't know her name. He didn't need to Thorndorn. She was just someone who needed help, and he'd done what he could. Back at their cramped apartment, the door creaked open, and Ethan stumbled in, dripping lake water onto the faded linoleum. "Daddy, Furna." Lily's voice rang out, bright and worried, as she darted from the kitchen. Her pigtails bounced, and her small hands clutched a chipped mug of instant coffee she tried to make for him. Coins clinked as her piggy bank, painted with a lopsided smiley face, tipped over, spilling across the floor. "You're all wet," she exclaimed, her brow furrowing with that too-old concern she'd carried since she was 6. When cancer took her mom, a Rachel, and left them both adrift. "I'm fine. Ethan said, forcing a smile as he peeled off his soaked jacket. His hands shook, not just from the cold, but from the nearness of what could have happened out there. "Just took a little swim." Lily frowned, unconvinced, and ran to grab his favorite flannel shirt, the one Rachel had bought him years ago, still faintly scented with her lavender perfume. "You're supposed to call 911, not jump in, so you rush around him," she scolded, sounding like a tiny teacher. Ethan chuckled, pulling the shirt over his head. the warmth of it easing the chill in his bones. Sometimes you can't wait. Kiddo was just her more sure you. The morning sun peeked through their single window, casting weak light on the stack of bills piled on the counter. Electricity overdue, rent looming, car payment a lost cause. Lily scooped up her scattered coins, her small face set with determination. I've been saving, she said, pushing the piggy bank toward him. For college. How am I to remember? Nursery anyone. Ethan's throat tightened, guilt twisting in his gut. She shouldn't have to think like that. Not at 9. That's yours. Barry Bucky Humena, he said softly, ruffling her hair. We'll figure it out. He moved through their routine on autopilot, toast split between them. A single egg scrambled. The last splash of orange juice poured into her cup. His body ached from the plunge, but there was no time to rest. The school bus would come soon, and his shift started at 8. Ree was certain as he packed her lunch, a peanut butter sandwich, an apple. Could you run it here? What did one? A crumbling granola bar, his phone buzzed. A text from Dave at the shop. Can you cover my shift tonight? Double pay. Ethan's muscles screamed in protest, but double pay meant maybe catching up on rent. I'm in. Worm. He typed back, ignoring the exhaustion settling into his marrow. Lily emerged in her patched green coat, her backpack slung over one shoulder. Did you take your pills? She asked, eyeing the empty bottle of his back medication on the counter. Another expense he'd skipped. Already did, he lied, forcing a grin. Eat up. Bus is almost here. They sat at their wobbly table, the sun painting bars of light across their meager breakfast. Lily nibbled her toast, watching him with those sharp, knowing eyes surmouched everyone Asiman. The lady in the lake, was she okay? She asked. Ethan nodded, though he wasn't sure. She's fine. The kipper do you want me? Don't worry. The bus horn blared outside, early for once. Tursatun. Lily hugged him tight, her small arms fierce around his neck. I'm proud of you. Daddy, she whispered, and Ethan's chest ached with love and fear and the weight of her trust. Have a good day. Hey, Bug, he said, watching her wave from the bus window until it vanished around the corner. Only then did he let himself slump, wet clothes still heaped by the door, bills glaring at him, fridge humming its empty song. 30 minutes to change into his janitor's uniform and get to work. 20 floors of toilets and trash cans waiting. No time to dwell. As he passed the lake on his way, emergency lights still flashed. A small crowd buzzing, a news van setting up. Ethan kept his head down, quickening his pace. He'd done what anyone would. That's what he told himself. No need for fuss. But the Minneapolis Post hit newsstands the next day with a headline that stopped him cold. Mystery woman rescued from Lake Minnetonka. Local hero vanishes before praise. A blurry photo showed the lake's edge. Ambulances clustered like vultures. Ethan spotted the paper in the office lobby, his stomach twisting as he pushed his cleaning cart past the security desk. Hey, I'm calling Ethan Caldwell, Officer Pete called, waving the paper. This you diving into the lake yesterday. Ethan forced a laugh. Just doing my job. Turning. Nespeta, your job's mopping floors, not playing lifeguard. Pete teased, but his grin faded as he read on. They're looking for you. Marinazarius or me. Reporters were here. Ethan's jaw tightened. Tell him I moved to Texas, he muttered, escaping into the elevator. By noon, the story was everywhere. TV, radio Masituansa. His phone buzzing with unknown numbers. During his break, he called Lily's school, panic clawing at him. She's fine, Mr. Surname Caldwell, the secretary assured him. She told everyone about your rescue and morning announcements. We're so proud. Ethan winced. No reporters near her. Okay. We've turned away 3 vans already, she promised. Relief washed over him, but the attention gnawed at his nerves. He didn't want this. Didn't want Lily caught in some spotlight. At the shop that night, Dave clapped him on the back. You're trending. So in my fit wax man, Lake Minnetonka hero. Ethan didn't know what that meant. Just tightened a bolt harder than necessary. Around 3:01:01, a woman appeared at his custodial closet, short, sharp-eyed, badge glinting. Mr. Caldwell, I'm Detective Nora Hayes. Need a word? Ethan leaned on his mop, wary about the lake. I told the paramedics everything. She pulled out a photo, a polished woman in designer clothes, smiling for a corporate headshot. This is who you saved. Abigail Voss, heiress to Voss Enterprises, missing for 5 months. Ethan stared at the picture, the woman's face clicking into place, those haunted eyes from the ice. She didn't look like that. He said, she didn't want to be found. Hayes replied, studying him. Her family's big money. They'll want to thank you, properly. Ethan's gut churned. I don't need thanks. Hayes raised an eyebrow. Single dad. 2 jobs. Rent overdue, I checked. Most would jump at this. He met her gaze. Steady. Most haven't learned what's worth jumping for. She left him with her card. And Ethan sank onto his cart. The name Abigail Voss echoing in his head. A billionaire's daughter. His phone buzzed again. Lily's teacher. She drew something today. Wants you to see it. Don't have to Durham. Then a news alert. Voss heiress found. Condition critical but stable. Shimmereturned. Corny. He shouldn't care. He had enough on his plate. But those eyes, desperate, gripping his hand in the water, stayed with him. A quiet pull he couldn't shake. In the hospital, Tornasur Armesuwan. Abigail Voss woke to the beep of monitors. Her head pounding, her body weak. A massive family portrait loomed across the room. Her father, stern and suited. Her mother, poised and perfect. Her sister, Claire, Sormakali to one in Tonuper. The golden child and Abigail, playing her part in a silk dress, her smile a mask. She'd been running from that picture, from the Voss name, for months. Uwa. The ice, the cold, the stranger's hands pulling her out. It all rushed back, and she shut her eyes, willing it away. You're awake. Claire's voice cut through, cool and clipped. She stood in the doorway, her tailored coat pristine, her blonde hair flawless. 6 months. Abigail Ladiu Yuramum. Mother's a wreck, father's heart. Do you know what you've done? Abigail's throat burned, raw from the tube they'd pulled out. I left a note, she rasped. I need it out. Claire scoffed, adjusting Abigail's blanket with mechanical precision. A note isn't an explanation. You're 29, not 15. Abigail turned to the window, snow falling soft and free beyond the glass. The board meets next week. Claire pressed. We'll say it was a sabbatical. You're back now. No, not do. Abigail whispered, firm despite her weakness. Claire's eyes narrowed. You nearly died out there. Be reasonable. But Abigail wasn't listening. She was thinking of the man who'd saved her. His rough voice, his steady grip, the way he'd looked at her like she was just a person, not a Voss. A nurse bustled in with a tablet and a glittery card. A little girl in the children's ward made this for you. Saw you on the news. Claire waved it off, no visitors. But Abigail reached for it, her hands trembling. The card showed a crayon lake, a stick figure being pulled to safety. Inside, in wobbly letters, to dear lake lady, I'm glad you're okay. My daddy saved you. Love, Lily Caldwell. Abigail's breath caught. Kunaisarm, Anum Caldwell. Her rescuer had a name, a daughter, a life she'd crashed into. Get out. Claire, Somarla Surwarn, she said, her voice steel despite the rasp. Or I'll tell the press everything, every secret this family's buried. Claire's mask slipped, just for a moment. Then she left without a word. Abigail traced the glitter, Lily's words sinking in. A janitor's daughter had sent her this. While her own sister calculated damage control, she'd spent years in therapy, chasing purpose. And here it was in a child's drawing, raw, real, suretone, unpolished hope. Ethan stood in the hospital corridor, Lily's hand warm in his, staring at the card a nurse had handed him. Mrs. Surihi Boss. Abigail, room 412. Suri. He hadn't meant to come, but Lily's teacher had shown him the card she'd made. And her pleading eyes, can we see her? Daddy? Nin had undone him. Do I look okay? Lily asked, smoothing her green coat. Perfect, Somo. Buck, he said, though his stomach churned with nerves. The nurse led them in, and Abigail Voss sat up in bed, her dark hair loose, her hospital gown simple but somehow elegant. Her eyes met his, and Ethan felt it again. That jolt from the lake, like they'd known each other longer than a frozen moment. You came, she said, her voice soft with surprise. Lily stepped forward, clutching a new card. We're glad you're better. Miss Voss, Abigail's face lit up, warm and unguarded. You must be Lily. Your first card, it's beautiful. She patted the bed, and Lily climbed up, chattering about her drawings while Ethan hung back, taking it in. Abigail's room dwarfed his apartment, flowers everywhere, sunlight pouring through huge windows. But her smile at Lily was real. Not some rich lady act. I brought another picture, Lily said, handing it over. It's our house. We're someone. And our dog, well, we don't have one yet. But Daddy says maybe someday. Abigail studied it, her eyes softening. It's wonderful. I always wanted a dog. But our house was too big. They'd get lost. Lily's jaw dropped. How big were the room? 40 rooms. Abigail said, wrinkling her nose. The full leader wants her one. Most just for show. We have 4, Lily said proudly. And I can see the lake from my window. Ethan watched them, marveling at Lily's ease. Her ability to bridge worlds he couldn't fathom. A knock broke the moment. Detective Hayes, clipboard in hand, needs statements, she said, but Abigail waved her off. Later. Lily's telling me about her school art fair. Hayes smirked, stepping back, and Ethan felt a flicker of gratitude. I'm sorry about the attention, Abigail said to him when Lily paused. My family, they're a lot. We're okay, he said. Automatic, wanna? No, she insisted. Kunun, firm. You didn't ask for this. I needed to thank you, not just for the lake, but for after, handling it all without wanting anything. Ethan shifted, uneasy under her gaze. Anyone would have. No, she cut in, reaching for his hand. Her grip was strong, surprising him. They wouldn't. I know rare when I see it. Lily watched, her crayon still, and the air thickened with something Ethan couldn't name. Emma says you fix cars, Abigail said, lightening the mood. Yeah. Second job. I have a car that needs fixing, she said, a playful glint in her eye. Or it will, I'm sure. Ethan caught the hint, the subtle offer wrapped in kindness. I could take a look, he said, and Lily beamed. Daddy's the best at cars. A nurse interrupted with meds, and Lily slid off the bed. Can we come back? She asked, looking at Ethan. We'll see. Buck searchen, he said, but they all knew it was a yes. As they left, Abigail's voice lingered in his head. Grateful. Winter, real. Pulling at something he'd buried since Rachel. At Jerry's diner the next day, Ethan nursed a coffee. The place abuzz with a magazine everyone was reading. Missing heiress found. The 5th Criterium. To you, billion woman. Abigail's face stared back from the cover. Glamorous. Untouchable. A world away from the woman who'd smiled at Lily. Jerry slid it over. Your lake lady's worth more than some countries. And Ethan's stomach sank. Photos showed her at galas, on yachts, in boardrooms. A life of excess that made his 4-room apartment feel like a cardboard box. Had it all been a game? His phone buzzed. Mrs. Torres, Mrasini and Zur. Their neighbor, news from outside. Lily's with me. Kirsty, he bolted. The magazine's images chasing him. Abigail closing billion-dollar deals. Her clothing budget dwarfing his yearly rent. At the shop, the guys ribbed him. Should have asked for a reward. And Dave pulled him aside. Suits were here. Asking about you? You good, we? Us. Ethan nodded, but doubt gnawed at him. Had he misread her? Detective Hayes found him in his truck later. A file in hand. The real Voss story, restraining orders. Scandals. Why she ran? Ethan stared at it. Tempted, then pushed it back. Keep it. Either she's playing me, and I don't need to know, or she's real, and she deserves to tell it herself. Hayes smiled. Which do you think? He thought of Lily's drawing in Abigail's room, the way her hand had felt in his. Doesn't matter. I'm protecting Lily. Sometimes protecting means giving people a chance, Hayes said, leaving him with the thought. By morning, the story exploded online, Lake Hero. Single dad saves billionaire. Reporters swarmed his apartment, shouting about a $1 million reward he'd never heard of. He and Lily hid at Mrs. Torres's, her kitchen warm with empanada steam. They're saying nice things. Daddy, Lily said. And scrolling comments. People want to help. Ethan took the tablet gently. We don't need help. Budge hita couldn't. Was her Mrs. Torres snorted. Tell that to your radiator. The TV flickered with Claire Voss's press conference. We're grateful to Mr. Ethan Caldwell. Compensation is being arranged. Cursor Ethan shut it off, his head throbbing. Another text from Hayes, Thin Minnetonka. Win a meeting. To Voss lawyers incoming. Don't sign anything. A knock rattled the door, suits visible through the glass. Back way. Mrs. Torres whispered, shoving empanadas into his hands. They slipped out, Lily clutching his arm. My art project's at school. She whimpered. For Abigail. We'll make another, he promised, though her tears cut deep. Abigail's text lit up his phone. And for Maiden. Ethan. I'm sorry. Let me fix this. Claire's wrong. Please sit in nowhere. This was. The last one stopped him. Lily's art fair means everything to her. Don't let my mess ruin it. They ducked into the Children's Museum. A friend of Mrs. Torres's son offering refuge. Can we call her? Register the year one, Chun, Lily asked. Straffer? Sniffling. Ethan hesitated. Sometimes helping means letting people sort themselves out, he said. But as they drove away, he wondered if he was running from her or from the hope she stirred in him. In the museum's conference room, Claire spread papers across the table, her Voss ring glinting. Sign the NDA to take the money, and this ends. She said, her voice smooth as ice. 3 lawyers flanked her. Hayes watched from the door. When through the glass, Ethan saw Lily painting. Safe for now. And if I don't, he asked. Claire's smile was thin. The press will dig your wife's bills, your debts, and Lily's free lunches. Kids can be cruel. Ethan's fist clenched. Lily's not a bargaining chip. Before he could say more, Abigail burst in, pale but fierce in jeans and a sweater. Enough. Clarity in the Shiberthorn. Leave, Bob Watson. She slammed her own ring down, and the lawyers scattered at her command. You should be resting, Claire said, unruffled. I'm done resting. Abigail shot back, moving to Ethan's side. I'm sorry. This, with you, with Lily, it's real. Claire's voice hardened. Father's heart, stop using him. Abigail snapped. I worked in a cafe. Claire, I was happy. You wouldn't get it. She turned to Ethan. That morning at the lake, I watched families like yours. Real ones. I saw you and Lily laughing. I wanted that. Claire scoffed. Try living on his salary. Try living in a cage. Abigail retorted, her voice breaking. Lily shows me her art because she wants me to see it, not buy it. Ethan saved me because I was drowning, not because I'm a Voss. Think of Lily. Claire tried again. Ethan stood. I want her to learn kindness beats cash, that real bonds aren't bought. Abigail's eyes shimmered, and she stepped closer to him. When this blows up, Claire began, but Abigail cut her off. Then it's real. Hayes cleared her throat. The media wants drama. Give them no drama, just Lily's art fair. A family being a family. We're not, Ethan started. But Abigail whispered, not yet, but we could be. Claire stared, something shifting in her. Father won't like this. I'm not asking, Abigail said. I'm choosing. Lily raced in, paint smeared, holding a picture. Look him. 3 adults turned, and Claire's plans crumbled against the child's truth. The job offer came the next day. Director of Voss Fleet Maintenance, on thick paper promising security. Benefits firm. EU. Housing. Lily's college. Yasidius or Sisterborn. Ethan read it aloud at Mrs. Torres's table, his voice flat. They're buying you, Hayes said from the window. It's help, Abigail countered, sitting across from him. Robert listened. Ethan pushed it away. Your sister sees me as a loose end. Silence me with cash or a title. Abigail flinched. She thinks this is care. Mrs. Torres set coffee down. Not your world. Miro. Isistitui. Nor hers anymore. Photographers lurked outside, and Abigail stood. I should go. I'm making it worse. No, Ethan said, grabbing her hand. You're making it clear. This job, it's everything I should want for Lily. But it's not me. She needs real, not easy. Abigail's tears welled. Like us, whatever this is, started with truth. He said, you in the water? Me jumping in? No names. Short money or bonds. No money, just us. Mrs. Torres sniffed, turning away, and Hayes grinned. Media won't stop. Abigail warned. Let them try. Ethan said. Lily's art fair's tomorrow. Think you can handle a school gym? She laughed. Teary. I've been practicing normal. The resignation hit the podium like a thunderclap. The gym was packed, parents, kids, reporters who'd sniffed out Abigail's move. She wore jeans and misses. Torres's sweater, her hair in a messy bun. Nothing like the heiress in the magazines. Thanks for coming. She began, her voice steady despite the camera flashes. Especially those here for the art fair. I'll be quick. First, this, she pointed to Lily's display. 3 stick figures. Shimwonimwas a house. Durosur, a family. Lily Caldwell made this. My family? By choice. By love. The room buzzed. 5 months ago, I ran from a perfect on paper life. I wanted real. Then I fell through ice. And a man saved me, not because I was Abigail Voss, but because I needed help. Ethan Caldwell and his daughter showed me wealth isn't money, it's hugs, drawings, choosing love over luxury. She lifted the letter. So I'm resigning from Voss Enterprises. My trust, my obligations. I'm studying mechanics, moving near Lily's school, living simply. Questions erupted. She waved them off. Calling Ethan and Lily up. Lily hugged her waist. Ethan stood close. This is my family, she said. We choose each other daily. Lily teaches me art. Ethan teaches me cars. And I'm learning love needs truth, not millions. A reporter shouted. The Voss legacy. Abigail smiled. It's here, in a kid's drawing. A man who jumps into frozen hearts. A choice to be real. Applause thundered. Not for the heiress, but for the woman who walked away from billions. You called her your daughter. Ethan whispered. Is that okay? Abigail knelt to Lily. Can I be your mom on earth? Not instead of your mom in heaven. Lily's hug was her answer. Fierce and wordless. Ethan helped them up, and they turned to Lily's art, 2 suns in the sky. Mom in heaven and mom. The cameras caught it. But for once, Narni Wasarin, they didn't mind, or Napindalornas Somasarin. Some truths deserved light. The small business loan form sat on their new kitchen counter. He forking Yermum he half-filled. Next to paint chips and dreams. Ethan paused over experience. Pen shaky. Put it all. Abigail said, sliding him coffee. Every car, every shift, it's real. The house was small. 3 bedrooms. The Sharshin. A yard. A garage turning into Caldwell Family Auto. But it was theirs. Lily bounded in. Can we fix the Chevy after homework? Art club first. Ethan reminded her. Then Mom can teach us about spark plugs, she said, grinning at Abigail. Who laughed. I barely learned that yesterday. The normalcy hit Ethan hard, Lily eating cereal. Abigail packing lunches. A rhythm he'd forgotten he could have. Reporters had faded. Just an occasional lens now. Robert's coming to my presentation, Lily said. Casual. About families. For Piradurasfine. Abigail paused. You okay with that? Lily nodded. He's trying. I put him in my family tree as Uncle Robert. Is that okay? Abigail's eyes watered. More than okay. Sweetheart, Mrs. Torres arrived for carpool. And after Lily left, Ethan eyed the loan form. My bookstore check comes soon. Abigail said, the shop's ours, all of us. You don't have to work, he said. I want to wish to she replied. Firm. It's good. Real. Their kiss was cut short by Hayes at the door. Dropping off papers. Name change. The Shishamu. School contacts. Business license. Sure. Robert's visiting soon. She noted. All official now. Mike from the shop pulled up with parts. Crazy leaving for your own gig, he said, but grinned. Need hands. I'm in Monterey. Abigail promised. Alone again. They stared at the papers. Steps to a new life. Ready? Ethan asked. Abigail grabbed a socket wrench. Her grip practiced now. For everything? The adoption papers trembled in Abigail's hand. Lily's family tree beside them. Maria at the top with stars. Their new family sprawling below. No rush, Ethan said softly. I want to, Abigail replied, but I'm scared of overstepping Maria. Lily burst in with Mrs. Torres, one cheater, Serimem. Garden supplies in tow for Maria's memorial plot. Mom, Masun, we got roses, she said, then saw the forms. Adoption papers. Abigail nodded. Are you scared? Lily asked. A little, no. Abigail admitted. Lily climbed into her lap. When I was scared about calling you Mom, Mommy's garden saying helped. More flowers make it prettier. New ones don't dim the old. Abigail hugged her, dirt and all. When you get so wise. From both my moms, Mrs. Torres said. Teary. Robert arrived, hesitant, with an envelope, childhood photos of Abigail from their mom, Elena. And with him and Abraham, with a note, for Lily's tree, love Grandma. She's better, he said. Wants to visit? Of course, Ethan said, meaning it. They gathered, Ethan, Abigail, Lily, Robert, Mrs. Torres sharing stories, blending past and present. Lily handed Abigail the pen. Mommy said love grows when you share it. Abigail signed, her hand steady now. Ethan next, then Lily as witness. Robert notarized it, cracking a smile. Always wanted to be an uncle. Mrs. Torres called for a party, and Lily finished her tree. Official with their adoption date. Thank you, Sorno. Abigail whispered to Ethan, for letting me in. Thank you, he said, for choosing us. The memorial bench gleamed by Lake Minnetonka, its plaque reading, where every ending is a beginning. Abigail traced it. Lily arranging flowers, roses from Maria's garden, wild blooms from their walk. 3 months ago, Ethan said, sitting beside them. This lake changed everything. Their restored Chevy shown nearby. Lily's sky blue pick. Shop opens next week. Abigail said, nervous. Lily asked, terrified. Abigail laughed. The good kind, like jumping in to save someone you love. Ethan took her hand. I did the jumping. Now I'm jumping for you, she said, pulling out a velvet box, a gold ring. Simple. Bought with her bookstore pay. My turn to be brave. I know it's not fancy, but it's real. Like us. Lily bounced. I helped pick it. It's like Mommy and Daddy's but different. For both families. Ethan's throat closed. Last time here, I feared drowning in change. In feelings I didn't deserve. Now I know some loves are worth the dive. Is that a yes? Lily asked, anxious. You all knew. He laughed. Indeno, suripin one. So, seeing their family emerge, Mrs. Torres with empanadas. Robert casual. Elena with a dish. Hayes with champagne. Mrs. Torres said it had to be here. Lily said, where it started. Ethan slipped on the ring. Like there was any doubt. Their kiss sparked cheers. Dragonflies dancing over the lake. A sign, maybe, of love watching from above and growing below. The house keys clinked. Home. Shop. And now the lake house. A wedding gift from Robert. You can't give us a house. Abigail had protested. I'm returning yours, he'd said. Where we skip stones. Real. A week before the wedding, their home hummed. Elena and Mrs. Torres planning. The shop sign arriving. Kulunat, Caldwell Family Auto. A wrench and heart entwined. Perfect. Ethan said, hugging them. A quilt from neighbors. Lake Rescue. Chevy. Lily's art. Warmed Abigail's eyes. We're history. Lily marveled. Elena knocked. Flowers from Maria's garden for the bouquet. Robert streaming it to their dad's hospital room. Lily showed her latest drawing. Their story. With a blank panel. For after, she said, our story's not over. Right. Not even close. Ethan promised. Abigail smiled. No billions. Just us, real. The keys stayed together. Like them. As their shop sign cast joined shadows, a family building a future. One honest fix at a time. The Christmas card glowed on the shop counter. Ethan. Abigail. Lily by the lake house. Chevy gleaming. Season's greetings from Caldwell Family Auto. A year had transformed them. Yet the core held love, truth. Grit is certinity. The shop thrived. Abigail graduated Mechanics 101. Lily's art adorned the walls. Mrs. Sarin Torres brought hot chocolate. Sir Machanawa, Serene. Hayes her car. Robert hammered at the lake house. Elena taught art at Lily's school. I got the play lead. Lily announced in a Nonaserinrenamornixtun, and their family rallied. Flowers. Empanadas. Shasur. A flight from Tokyo. Ethan watched. Grease on his hands. Abigail's on hers. Lily drawing hearts around homework. Remember when we weren't a family? She asked. They paused. The thought absurd now. Snow fell outside. But inside, their everyday miracle hummed. Some rescues were mutual. Some loves built to last. Stronger than any lake's ice or billionaire's gold. Ethan wiped his hands on a rag. the familiar scent of motor oil grounding him as he stepped out from under the hood of a customer's pickup. The shop was alive with the hum of tools and the chatter of mechanics, Mike barking orders at Pablo, who turned out to be a natural with engines despite his initial clumsiness. The waiting room smelled of fresh coffee. Abigail's doing, and Lily's latest artwork hung above the counter, a winter scene of their lake house. Snowflakes swirling around three stick figures holding mugs. It was mid-December, which tweeted and Caldwell Family Auto had become more than a business. It was a heartbeat, a rhythm they'd built together. Abigail emerged from the back office, her hair tied up with a pencil, a smudge of grease on her cheek from helping Pablo earlier. She carried a stack of invoices, her brow furrowed in concentration. "We're up 15% from last month," she said, setting the papers down beside the Christmas card. Words spreading, people like the family vibe. Ethan grinned, leaning against the counter. Or they like that you give out free cookies with oil changes. She swatted his arm, laughing. "It's Mrs. Torres's recipe. I'm just the delivery system." Lily burst through the door, her cheeks pink from the cold, her backpack bouncing. "School's out for break," she announced, dropping her bag and hugging Abigail's waist. "Can we decorate the shop tonight? I made ornaments in art club, wrench-shaped ones." Ethan's chest warmed at the sight, his daughter's joy. Abigail's easy affection as she hugged her back. "Wrench ornaments." "Sounds like a mechanic's dream," he said, ruffling Lily's hair. After dinner, Abigail promised, "Your grandma Elena's coming over with her famous hot cider." The door chimed again, and Elena Voss stepped in, her silver hair swept into a loose bun, a thermos in one hand and a canvas bag in the other. She'd traded her designer coats for a quilted jacket she'd picked up at a local thrift store, a small rebellion against the Voss elegance she'd once worn like armor. "I brought the cider. You want for which to she said, her voice softer now than it had been a year ago, when every word carried the weight of expectation, and some old decorations from the lake house. Thought Lily might like them." Lily's eyes lit up, diving into the bag to pull out a string of tarnished silver bells. "These are so cool. Did you and Mom use them when you were little?" Elena smiled, a flicker of sadness in her eyes. But it was gentler now, tempered by time and the slow thaw of her relationship with Abigail. "We did. Your mom loved hanging them on the porch. She'd ring them every time it snowed." Abigail met her mother's gaze, a silent understanding passing between them. "They'll look perfect here," she said, taking the bells from Lily. "Thanks, Mom." The word still felt new on her tongue, a bridge rebuilt one careful step at a time. Robert followed Elena in, his suit swapped for jeans and a sweater, a toolbox in hand. "Thought I'd drop off some paint for the lake house," he said, setting it down. "And maybe get my hands dirty if you've got anything needs fixing." Ethan raised an eyebrow, amused. "You're volunteering for shop duty." Robert shrugged, a rare grin tugging at his lips. "Turns out I'm not half bad with a hammer. Besides, the foundation keeps me in meetings all day. Need something real to balance it out." Abigail smirked. "Careful, Uncle Robert. Next thing you know, you'll be changing oil. One step at a time," he shot back. But there was a lightness to him Ethan hadn't seen before. A man unburdened, at least for a moment, by the Voss legacy. Mrs. Torres bustled in next, her arms full of Tupperware. "Empanadas for the crew," she declared, setting them on the counter. "Now when do you want us to and don't you dare say no." Ethan Caldwell, "You're too skinny these days." Ethan laughed, the sound easy and unguarded. "Wouldn't dream of it, Maria." She patted his cheek, then turned to Lily. "Come help me set up." "Mia, it's Siri you are den Chonchundi. We've got a party to throw on a shamano on Enos." Lily grabbed a stack of napkins, chattering about her play rehearsal, and Ethan watched them go, a quiet gratitude settling over him. This was family, not the one he'd been born into, not the one he'd lost, but the one he'd found, pieced together from broken edges and brave choices. Detective Nora Hayes slipped in last, her coat dusted with snow, a grin on her face. "Car's purring like a kitten now," she said, tossing Ethan her keys. "You're a miracle worker." "Just doing my job," he replied, but she shook her head. "More than that, this place, it's something special." She glanced around, taking in the bustle, the warmth. "It's sort of fun, the life." Got a minute. Read a before me. One. Brought something for the wedding scrapbook. She pulled out a photo from the Lake Minnetonka festival, a candid shot of Ethan, Abigail, and Lily laughing by the memorial bench, dragonflies glinting in the background. Thought it belonged with the rest, she said. Abigail took it, her fingers brushing the edges. This is perfect. Oi, she murmured, her voice thick. Ethan looked over her shoulder, the memory flooding back, the spring sun, the proposal, the family that had ambushed them with love. Yes, sir, he said softly. It does. Hayes clapped his shoulder. You're stuck with me now. Caldwell, Firabwarna, official family photographer. Wouldn't have it any other way, he replied, and she winked before joining Mrs. Torres at the empanada station. As the shop filled with laughter and the clink of cider mugs, Ethan stepped outside for a breath. The cold air sharp against his skin, snow fell in lazy flakes, blanketing the parking lot, softening the edges of the world. The sign Caldwell Family Auto glowed above him, the wrench and heart casting a faint shadow on the ground. Hisui, he thought of Rachel, the way she'd loved Christmas, her off-key carols filling their old apartment. She'd be proud. He knew, proud of Lily, proud of him for letting love back in. The ache was still there, a quiet companion, but it didn't drown him anymore. It sat beside the joy, the hope, the life he'd built with Abigail and Lily. The door creaked behind him, and Abigail stepped out, wrapping her arms around his waist from behind. Penny for your thoughts, she asked, her breath warm against his neck. He turned, pulling her close, the snow catching in her hair like tiny stars. Just thinking how far we've come, he said. From that lake to this, she smiled, her eyes bright despite the dim light. Best fall I ever took, she said, echoing words from months ago. Into the water, into you, into all of this. He kissed her forehead, the cold fading under her warmth. Best rescue I ever made, he murmured. Lily's voice cut through the quiet. Daddy, Mama Shrenuwern, come see. They turned to find her in the doorway, holding up a wrench ornament painted silver and red. It's for the tree. A free to one of us service shoein, she said, beaming. Ethan and Abigail exchanged a look, half amusement, half awe at the girl who tied them together, and followed her inside. The shop's Christmas tree stood in the corner, a scrappy pine they'd picked from a local lot, now adorned with Lily's creations and Elena's bells. Robert was stringing lights, muttering about tangles, while Mrs. Torres directed Pablo on garland placement. Hayes snapped photos, grinning like a kid. Ethan hung the wrench ornament, his hand brushing Abigail's as she added one of her own. A tiny book, a nod to her bookstore days. Lily clapped, then darted to the counter, returning with a marker and a blank ornament. We need one for Mommy, she said, her tone matter-of-fact but soft. Ethan's throat tightened, but he nodded. Taking the marker, he drew a simple star, Rachel's favorite, and wrote her name in careful letters. Lily hung it high, near the top, where it caught the light. Now she's here too, she said, satisfied. Abigail slipped her hand into Ethan's, squeezing gently. She's always here, she whispered, and he knew she meant it, not as a replacement, but as a partner in this strange, beautiful dance of memory and new beginnings. The room grew quiet for a moment, the weight of it settling over them, until Mrs. Torres broke the spell. Enough mush. Who's ready for empanadas? Laughter erupted, and the night spun on, cider flowing. Stories swapped. The shop alive with the messy, perfect chaos of family. Later, as the snow thickened outside, Ethan stood by the window, Abigail beside him, Lily curled up on a waiting room chair with a blanket Mrs. Torres had tucked around her. The Christmas card glowed under the tree's lights. A snapshot of their year, hard won. Honest. True. Think she's happy? Abigail asked, nodding at Lily. Ethan followed her gaze, his daughter's peaceful face a mirror of Rachel's in sleep. Yeah or no? He said. Think you're on in one, and she leaned into him, her answer in the way she fit against his side. Yeah, no, we know. The lake sparkled in the distance, a silent witness to their story. A year ago, it had been a place of desperation, ice cracking, a stranger's hand reaching out. Now it was a promise, a reminder that some endings were just doorways. Some rescues went both ways, and some loves grew stronger with every fix, every fight. every quiet night like this. Ethan pulled Abigail closer. The keys to their life, home, shop, lake house jingling in his pocket. Together, they watched the snowfall, the world outside fading into a soft, white hush, while inside, the remainage, their family burned bright. A light no winter could dim. Spring brought new rhythms to Caldwell Family Auto. The garage doors stayed open, letting in the breeze off Lake Minnetonka, carrying the scent of thawing earth and budding trees. Business boomed. Locals trusted Ethan's hands, Abigail's numbers, and the way Lily greeted every customer with a smile and a crayon sketch of their car. The Chevy, their first family project, sat polished in the corner, a testament to their shared labor. Ethan's expertise, Abigail's growing skill, Lily's paintbrush steady on the trim. Abigail had traded her bookstore apron for a shop jumpsuit, her name stitched in red cursive over the pocket. She'd aced her intermediate mechanics course, surprising even herself, and now handled basic repairs alongside the books. "Never thought I'd get excited about a torque wrench," she said one afternoon, wiping sweat from her brow as she tightened a bolt. Ethan grinned from under a sedan's hood. "Never thought I'd marry a billionaire who could, She tossed a rag at him, stirring his sonor, Kummerterra laughing, the sound bright against the clank of tools. Lily, now 10, once, soon, had grown an inch over the winter. Her hazel eyes sharper, her questions deeper. She'd taken to the shop like it was her kingdom, organizing parts with Pablo and sketching designs for custom paint jobs. "Can we do a dragon on Mrs. Hayes's cruiser?" she asked. Perched on a stool with her sketch pad, Ethan peeked at the drawing, scales curling around the hood, flames licking the sides. "Ask her," he said, "but don't be surprised if she says yes." Hayes had a soft spot for Lily, and her car was already a regular in their bays. The lake house renovation was nearly done, a weekend retreat they'd poured themselves into. Robert had surprised them with his knack for drywall, showing up with paint cans and a willingness to learn. Beats board meetings, he'd said, sanding a wall while Lily bossed him around. Elena had claimed a corner for a reading nook, her bookshelves filling with novels she'd never had time for in her Voss days. "I'm calling it my retirement," she'd told Abigail, though her art classes at Lily's school kept her busy. The house wasn't grand, not like the Voss estates, but it was theirs, a place of skipping stones and quiet nights, a gift Robert had given back to Abigail's heart. One Saturday, but as the sun dipped low, Ethan drove them out there, the Chevy humming smooth on the winding road. Lily sat between them, her latest project, a family tree for school, spread across her lap. "I added everyone," she said, pointing to the branches. "Mommy at the top, then you and Mom, Uncle Robert, Grandma Elena, Mrs. Torres as bonus grandma, even Pablo and Mike." Abigail traced the lines, her finger lingering on Maria's name, surrounded by stars. "It's beautiful." "Bugwasher Menam," she said, her voice catching. Ethan squeezed her hand over Lily's head, a silent thank you for the way she honored what came before. They parked by the lake, the water glinting gold in the fading light. Lily ran to the shore, gathering flat stones, her laughter echoing as she tried to skip them. "Uncle Robert's better at this," she called, grinning as a stone sank after one bounce. Ethan joined her, picking up a smooth, gray pebble. "Sharondonis, it's all in the wrist," he said, flicking it 3 skips. Then a splash. Abigail watched from the porch, her arms crossed against the evening chill, a contentment settling over her she hadn't known she could feel. This was wealth, not the billions she'd left behind, but the sound of Lily's giggle, the weight of Ethan's ring on her finger, the life they'd carved from nothing. Back at the house, they lit a fire in the small hearth, the crackle filling the room as Lily roasted marshmallows on a stick Ethan had whittled. "Tell me about when you met," she said, her mouth sticky with sugar. Ethan glanced at Abigail, a smile tugging at his lips. "Well, your mom fell through some ice, and I was dumb enough to jump in after her." Abigail laughed, nudging him. "Dumb enough to save me? You mean Nussifer Martin?" Lily's eyes widened. "And then you fell in love?" "Kita could be urine." "Not right away," Abigail said, leaning into Ethan. "But pretty close. You sealed the deal. Though your cards, your hugs, Lily beamed, snuggling between them. "Good thing I'm awesome." The firelight danced on their faces, and Ethan felt the past and present knit together. Rachel's memory in the stars outside. Abigail's warmth beside him. Lily's future stretching ahead. Yeah, he said softly. Good thing. Summer hit with a vengeance. The shop sweltering despite the fans Ethan had rigged. Business didn't slow. Cars rolled in with busted ACs and sunburned owners begging for quick fixes. Abigail had taken to wearing a bandana, her jumpsuit sleeves rolled up, her hands steady on a wrench as she tackled a radiator leak. I'm getting good at this, she said, grinning at Ethan over the engine block. Watch out. I might take your job. He wiped sweat from his forehead, laughing. You'd have to fight Lily for it. She's already claiming the lifts. Lily, out of school for the break, had turned the shop into her playground. She'd set up a lemonade stand out front. Her sign, cold drinks, hot cars and drawn in bold markers, a dragon curling around the letters. Customers loved it, tossing extra quarters into her tip jar, which she'd declared was for shop upgrades. We need a dog, she told Ethan one afternoon, counting her haul. A shop dog, like in the movies. He raised an eyebrow. What's it gonna do? Fetch wrenches. Maybe, she said, undeterred. Or just look cute. Robert showed up that week, his foundation work bringing him to town for a grant meeting. He'd funded 3 local startups already, including a bakery down the street that now supplied the shop with donuts. Thought I'd check in, he said, loosening his tie, a habit he couldn't quite shake, and maybe hide from the heat. Abigail handed him a lemonade, smirking. You're getting soft, Uncle Robert. He took a sip, wincing at the tartness. Blame Lily, she's got me wrapped around her finger. That evening, they closed early for Lily's school play, a community production of The Wizard of Oz. She'd landed Dorothy, her braids swapped for pigtails, her ruby slippers sparkling under the stage lights. Ethan and Abigail sat in the front row, Mrs. Torres on one side, Elena and Robert on the other, Hayes snapping photos from the aisle. When Lily sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow, her voice clear and strong, Ethan felt his eyes sting. Abigail gripped his hand, her own tears slipping free. She's incredible, she whispered. She's ours, he replied, the pride swelling in his chest. After, backstage was chaos, kids running, parents hugging, Mrs. Torres passing out empanadas. Robert weren't. Still awkward in crowds. Handed Lily a bouquet of daisies. You were the best Dorothy I've ever seen, he said, and she hugged him, petals squashing against his shirt. Elena pulled Abigail aside, her expression tentative. I talked to your father today. She said. He watched the stream. He asked about coming for Christmas. Abigail's breath caught. Really? Elena nodded. He's softer now. Wants to meet Lily. Abigail glanced at Ethan, who'd overheard, family's family, he said, echoing words from months ago. Let's see. Fall crept in, the leaves turning crimson around Lake Minnetonka, shops settling into a steady hum. The small business grant from Robert's foundation came through, enough to buy a second lift and hire another mechanic, a quiet guy named Sam who'd grown up fixing tractors. Abigail framed the approval letter, hanging it beside Lily's art, a quiet victory for their little empire. We earned this, she said, her voice firm with pride. Ethan kissed her temple. Damn right we did. Lily's 11th birthday fell on a crisp October day, and they threw a party at the lake house. Balloons tied to the porch. A cake misses. Torres had baked with a wrench piped in icing. Robert brought a telescope, setting it up by the water so Lily could stargaze. For your next project, he said, showing her how to find Orion. Elena gifted her a sketchbook, leather-bound and thick, her initials embossed on the cover. For all the stories you'll tell, she said, her voice trembling with something like awe. As the sun set, Ethan lit a bonfire, the crackle mingling with Lily's laughter as she chased Pablo's little brother around the yard. Abigail leaned against him, her jumpsuit swapped for a sweater, her hand resting on his knee. Think this is what you pictured a year ago? She asked. He thought of the lake, the ice, the stranger he'd pulled to shore. Not even close, he said. Better one tenemashinom, kidder benenajor. She smiled, the firelight catching the gold in her eyes. Better hanging on. Lily ran over, breathless, holding a stick with a marshmallow. Make a wish with me, she said, shoving it between them. They closed their eyes. Ethan wishing for more days like this. Abigail for the strength to keep building. Lily for a dog in a dragon-painted car. The marshmallow flared, then turned golden, You're not a and they laughed, the sound rising into the night sky, a family woven from courage, love, unmasharena winarmin the simarn, and the kind of riches no bank could hold. Winter returned, the lake freezing over once more, a mirror to that fateful day. Ethan stood by the memorial bench, his breath fogging in the air, Abigail and Lily beside him. They'd come to lay flowers, roses from Maria's garden. Now thriving under Lily's care, 2 years, Ethan said, his voice low. Feels like a lifetime. Abigail slipped her arm through his. Feels like a beginning. Lily knelt, arranging the blooms, then looked up. Mommy's watching, right? And Mom's here. She patted Abigail's hand. Matter of fact. Ethan nodded, his throat tight. Always. The lake stretched before them, silent and vast. A place of endings and starts. Back at the shop, the Christmas lights glowed. The card from last year joined by a new one. 4 faces now. Robert included, a family tree growing ever wider. Inside, the warmth waited empanadas, cider, love, and Ethan knew, as they walked hand in hand, that some stories didn't end. They just deepened, stronger with every season, every fix, every heartbeat shared. The second winter after the lake rescue settled over Minneapolis like a soft, heavy blanket, the kind that muffled the world and made everything feel both vast and close. Lake Minnetonka gleamed under a fresh layer of ice, its surface unbroken. Reflecting the pale December sun, Ethan stood at the edge of the shore, his boots sinking into the snow, his breath curling in the frigid air. Abigail was beside him, her gloved hand tucked into his, her cheeks flushed from the cold. Lily, Permaniporn, now 11 and a half, knelt a few feet away, adjusting a small wreath of pine and holly she'd made for the memorial bench. The brass plaque, where every ending is a beginning, caught the light, its words worn but bright, a quiet promise etched into their lives. Looks good. Pugwinawam. Buck, Ethan called, his voice steady despite the lump in his throat. Lily glanced back, her hazel eyes sparkling with pride. I added extra berries this time, for Mommy and for us, she said, brushing snow from her mittens. She'd grown taller this year, her face sharpening with hints of the woman she'd become. But her heart stayed wide open, a bridge between past and present. Abigail squeezed Ethan's hand, her own eyes misty. She's got Rachel's touch with these things, she murmured, and Ethan nodded, the ache of memory blending with the warmth of now. They'd come out here every season since that first wild spring, laying flowers in summer, skipping stones in fall, watching dragonflies in the heat. But winter always felt different. It was the season that had started it all. When ice had cracked and lives had collided. When Ethan's hands had found Abigail's in the freezing dark and pulled her into something neither of them had expected. 2 years on, the lake wasn't just a place of rescue anymore. It was theirs, a marker of survival, of love, of the family they'd forged against all odds. Back at Caldwell Family Auto, the shop buzzed with its own kind of winter magic. The garage doors were shut tight against the cold. But the waiting room glowed with Christmas lights strung up by Pablo, who'd taken to decorating with the same flair he brought to engine work. The tree stood proud in the corner, heavy with Lily's wrench ornaments, Elena's silver bells, and that single star Ethan had drawn for Rachel. And shining near the top, customers milled about, sipping hot chocolate Abigail had brewed, their cars in good hands with Mike, Sam, Sir Shrinton, and the new apprentice, Uwakinawan, a shy girl named Tara who'd shown up with a knack for diagnostics. Abigail had slipped into her role here with a grace Ethan still marveled at, her jumpsuit patched from months of wear, her hands as comfortable with a ledger as they were with a socket wrench. She'd graduated to advanced repairs now. Her latest triumph, a rebuilt transmission that had left Ethan whistling in admiration. Told you I'd take your job, she'd teased, and he'd kissed her grease-streaked forehead. Laughing, you can have it, as long as I get to keep you. Lily darted through the shop, her school play costume, a lion's mane from their latest production, still tangled in her hair. She'd moved on from Dorothy to the Cowardly Lion, her roar earning cheers at the community theater. Smayfin receptor, Dada. Grandma Elena's here with the cookies, she shouted, dragging a tray of gingerbread from the office. Elena followed, her quilted jacket swapped for a festive apron, her silver hair dusted with flour. I may have overdone it, she said, setting down a mountain of sweets. But it's Christmas Eve. Indulgence is mandatory. Robert trailed in behind her, his arms full of wrapped boxes, his usual reserve softened by the season. "Don't tell the foundation I'm playing Santa," he said, setting the gifts under the tree. He'd brought his girlfriend this time, a quiet woman named Jenna, who taught at Lily's school and had already won Mrs. Torres's approval with her empanada-eating enthusiasm. "Uncle Robert, did you get me the telescope upgrade?" Lily asked, eyeing the packages. He winked. "You'll have to wait and see." Kid Fibersharon should have on the one. Mrs. Torres bustled in next, her thermos of hot chocolate steaming, her voice cutting through the chatter. "Ethan Caldwell, if you don't sit down and eat something, I'll tie you to a chair myself." She threatened, shoving a plate of empanadas into his hands. He grinned, surrendering. "Yes." She turned to Abigail, softening. "And you? Mika, don't let him work too hard tonight." Abigail laughed, wrapping an arm around Ethan's waist. "I'll try." Maria Sermon. Detective Nora Hayes slipped in last, her cruiser parked out front, her camera slung around her neck. "Thought I'd document the chaos," she said, snapping a shot of Lily sneaking a cookie. "Car's running smooth. By the way, thanks to Tara." Ethan nodded toward the apprentice, who blushed but smiled. "She's a keeper." He said, and Hayes clapped her shoulder. "Irina went or Nisha Shari. You've got a whole crew of keepers here." The shop quieted as the evening deepened. The last customers trickling out with waves and holiday wishes. Ethan flipped the sign to closed, the hum of the lifts fading into silence. The family gathered around the tree, the air thick with cinnamon and pine. Lily handed out gifts, small, thoughtful things. A sketchbook for Abigail, a new wrench set for Ethan, a scarf she'd knitted for Mrs. Torres with Pablo's help. Robert opened a drawing Lily had made, a family tree with Jenna added, her name in careful cursive, and his eyes softened, a rare crack in his polished surface. "That's enough, thanks. Kid, one he said, his voice rough. Elena passed Abigail a slim box, her hands trembling slightly. Inside was a photo album, snapshots of Abigail's childhood. Either the lake house, moments before the Voss empire had swallowed them whole, a note from her father, Richard, was tucked in the back, his handwriting shaky but clear. "Hasfarinum, I'm proud of you, Abby. Tell Lily I'll see her soon." Abigail's breath hitched, and Ethan pulled her close, his thumb brushing away a tear. "He's coming around," he whispered. "Like you said he would." Lily climbed onto the couch between them, her lion mane askew, a mug of cocoa cradled in her hands. "Can we do the wish thing again?" "Some," she asked, her voice sleepy but bright. Ethan glanced at Abigail, a silent agreement passing between them. "Sure, bug," he said, grabbing a marshmallow from the tray. They held it over the shop's electric heater, a makeshift campfire, watching it brown. "What's your wish?" Abigail asked, her head resting on Ethan's shoulder. Lily thought for a moment, her eyes drifting to the star ornament. "For us to keep being us," she said simply. "And maybe a shop dog." Ethan chuckled, his wish quieter, deeper, for the strength to hold this happiness, to trust it wouldn't slip away. Abigail's was a mirror, for the courage to keep choosing this life, this love. Every day, the marshmallow flared, then settled, and they ate it together, the sweetness sealing the moment. Outside, snow fell thick and fast, blanketing the lake. The shop. The world they'd built. The Christmas card glowed on the counter. Ethan. Abigail Lily Cerns. And now a fourth face, where Richard's penciled in by Lily's hopeful hand. The wrench-wearing Santa hat winked in the light, a symbol of their grit and grace. Mrs. Torres started humming a carol, her voice off-key but warm, and soon they all joined in. Robert stumbling over the words, Elena laughing, Hayes snapping one last photo. Ethan stepped to the window, Abigail beside him, Lily drowsing against his leg. The lake stretched beyond, its ice a quiet echo of that day 2 years ago, when he jumped. When she'd fallen, when their story had begun. "Think we'll ever top this?" Abigail asked, her voice soft. He looked at her, at Lily, at the family spilling over with noise and love behind them. "Don't need to," he said. "This is enough." The shop lights dimmed, the snow piled high, and the night wrapped around them. A family not of blood or wealth, but of choice, of rescue, of hearts mended stronger than steel. The lake held its secrets, its promises, its miracles. And as Ethan kissed Abigail's temple, Lily's hand warm in his, he knew some endings weren't endings at all. They were beginnings that lasted forever, built on honest work, true love, and the kind of riches that shone brightest in the dark. A light in no winter. Breaking na perduras, no storm, no time could ever extinguish. Hey everyone, thanks for diving into Ethan, Abigail, and Lily's story. Hope it warmed your heart as much as Lake Minnetonka's ice chilled theirs. Stick around. There's more where this came from.